Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making Swedish meatballs in a Ninja Speedi. Alright guys, I'm starting out here. We're going to make our meatballs. I have roughly a little over 2 pounds of lean ground beef. This is like 93.7. You want to use lean because we're going to cook this in with the white noodles. We don't get it all greasy. I already cracked 1 egg in the bowl here. I'm going to add in some nutmeg. Nutmeg is what you use in Swedish meatballs. And this is a new container of nutmeg. I'm going to add in about a half a teaspoon. That's what gives your Swedish meatballs that distinct flavor. Now I have 1 onion here diced up fine. That's going in. And I'm just going to reserve this plate to put my meatballs on when I make them. I'm going to add in some granulated garlic, about a teaspoon. Or this rather garlic powder. I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of pepper. Then a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put in some fresh diced up parsley. Probably about a tablespoon. And some panko breadcrumb. You don't want to use seasoned breadcrumb for this because you don't want it to taste like meatballs you eat in pasta. And I'm going to get in here and I'm going to mix this all together. Alright, now that my ground beef mixed up pretty well, I'm going to make some meatballs here. I'll make 1 or 2 to show you. I'm going to make them about this size. We don't want them real big. A little smaller than a golf ball. So I'm going to go ahead and roll up all my meatballs till my ground beef's all used up, and then we'll move on to the Speedi. Okay, now I have my meatballs all made up, and I have too many to fit in the Speedi, so I'm going to wind up freezing some of them for a later date. I have a 12-ounce bag of extra wide egg noodles. I'm going to dump them in the bottom of the Speedi here. And this recipe has never been done before in a Speedi, guys. I just thought it up and I thought I'd give it a try. We'll see if it works out or not. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt in over top of my noodles. Not a whole lot. And I'm going to dump in some liquid, some water. This is 4 cups of water. I'm going to put a little more in. I'm going to go for 5 cups of water. We don't want too much. We want that pasta to absorb that, but we want enough to cook the pasta. Now I'm going to fold the little feet out on my rack that goes in there. And I'm going to sit it up on the elevated setting. And I'm going to go ahead and load as many meatballs as I can get in there to fill the rack. Alright, now that I have all my meatballs in, I'm going to close my lid down. I got a pretty fair amount in there. There's probably, I don't know, about 10 or 12 meatballs left over. I'm going to close my lid down. And I'm going to turn the switch here from the air fry up to the rapid cook setting. Alright, I'm going to turn on my Speedi. Now we're going to go down to the steam and crisp setting. It's set at 390. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to set my time for 10 minutes. Now 5 minutes in, I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn those meatballs over so they don't burn on one side and they get nice and golden brown on both sides. This here will come up to temperature. It'll start steaming and it'll start air frying those meatballs. Okay, while we're waiting for our meatballs and our pasta to cook, we're going to make the sauce, the Swedish meatball sauce for the pasta. In that ground beef ball I washed good, I'm going to put in 2 cups of water. Now I'm going to add in 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. And I'm just going to eyeball this, guys. If I go over or under by a hair, it's really not going to make much of a difference. Just a shot more. Alright. I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And it's the same deal with the Worcestershire. If you go over a hair, no big deal. Worcestershire makes everything delicious. I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Pardon me. That's about right. And I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of salt. And a teaspoon of pepper. And I have 2 packs of brown gravy mix. This is going to do 2 things. This is going to give it a good flavor, and it's going to help thicken up that sauce because there's cornstarch in the gravy mix. So I'm going to take a plastic whisk, and we're going to whisk this gravy mix into the cream mixture. Alright, there's 1 pack. And now the 2nd pack. Now that seems like a lot of sauce, but that pasta will absorb that, so it's better to have a little extra than not enough. And I think I'm going to add just a tad of nutmeg in there to carry over that delicious flavor from the meatballs into our sauce. So let me get the nutmeg. Here it is. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. And I'm going to put in about 1/4 teaspoon. And I'm just going to let my sauce here sit aside for a minute until our meatballs and our pasta are done cooking. Alright, my 5 minutes went by. I'm going to go ahead and turn these meatballs over. And then I'm going to close my lid down and let it go for another 5 minutes. Alright, my meatballs are done. I took them out and set them aside. You can see them over here. Now what happened with the pasta is a couple of the noodles turned brown because they weren't submerged in the water. And I had to drain liquid off in a colander. So what I would suggest to you is put enough water in the cover over your pasta and then just drain it in a colander when it's done cooking. Because some of them got a little crispy and I had to pull them out, throw them away. Now I'm going to dump my meatballs back in. And I feel like just munching one of these down now, but I won't. I'm going to dump my sauce in over top of the meatballs and the pasta. Give that a stir, get everybody mixed in there. Alright, now I'm going to close my lid down. I'm going to switch it from rapid cook to air fry. Now I'm not going to bring the camera down for this, but I'm going to go down to the sear saute setting. It's set on high temperature. I'm going to press start. And I'm going to allow that to cook probably for about 5 minutes or so once it comes up to temperature. Excuse me. Once it comes up to temperature for about 5 minutes till that sauce starts to thicken up. Alright guys, my Swedish meatballs are done. You can see how that sauce thickened up. It took about 5 minutes on a sear saute setting, and I left the lid open. I closed it. I figured, it's going to build up steam in there, so we'll leave it open. This is ready to go. Let's go ahead and fix up a plate and see what we got. I went ahead and I garnished it with that fresh parsley I had already diced up. Give it some color and a little more flavor. And like I said, guys, other than mishap with the pasta, when you do it, put enough water over to cover the pasta because you're going to drain water off anyways in a colander. Let me get in here and give this a try. I'm going to start with some of the pasta. Really delicious. Has that classic Swedish meatball taste. Let me try one of the meatballs. Meatballs are moist, well seasoned. Guys, that's really delicious. Didn't take long at all. A one-pot meal. Alright, there you have it. Swedish meatballs in a Ninja Speedi. Thanks for watching. Remember, love what you eat and eat what you love.